Welcome here today, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of a post-race analysis video on the channel for you today. So I'm recording my voice over this page because I don't really have time to get the picture in at the time of recording this. And sorry, this is coming out about a day and a half later than usual. Usually we upload these videos after the Cup race. I'll literally, as soon as the race is over and the post-race interviews are over, I'll go upstairs in my room and start recording and doing all that great stuff. But today, a little bit different. Again, I had company over at the house, kind of explained it a little bit over the live stream. But we are here without a doubt, and as usual, we'll break down the race, tell you guys what happened. We'll look at the finishing results. We'll talk about the playoff bubble because that has gotten even more intense. And then we'll end up going on finishing the video as usual, checking out to see how that fantasy team did and how my advice picks were throughout the course of the race today. So without further ado, let's hop on into this. First and foremost, Kevin Harvick had the fastest car of the race by far on Sunday. He finished in the top 5 in the Saturday race. He finished in 4th place, was running pretty much right around 5th the whole race. Obviously, we know Denny Hamlin won both stages in the race on Saturday. Him and Harvick, definitely the 2 championship favorites, and this is another reason why I think Harvick is just more consistent. Again, I'll explain that in a little bit, but it all started off in the very beginning of the race, similar to what Saturday's race was. There was an accident. This time it was coming off of turn 4 rather than turn 2. Similar accident at that, though. Joey Logano ended up just mistiming the exit to the corner one way or another, ended up clipping the left rear of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stenhouse went sliding into the inside wall. Meantime, when that happened, Kyle Busch was right behind it all. He checked up. He got hit from behind by Chase Elliott, so that kind of knocked in a huge dent to the back bumper of Kyle Busch. He was a non-factor all day. That had to have affected the aero damage. Or affected the aero in the corners for sure. Probably gave him a little bit more drag than what he needed with that back bumper damage, so they couldn't quite get it fully repaired. He was outside the top 10 all day because of it, and Chase Elliott, of course, hit him hard enough that it pretty much busted a hole in the radiator. He went to the garage immediately. Chase Elliott's day was also done, so Stenhouse Elliott finished with only 1 point on the day at the back of the pack. The rest of the stage pretty much went. Obviously, we had the inversion, so Matt Benedetto was on the pole after finishing 20th the day before. He needed to score much needed stage points. He scored a few, but not as many as he probably would have hoped for. Ryan Blaney led the majority of that first stage because of it. He ended up starting at 6th after finishing 14th on Saturday. Ryan Blaney was leading up until 2 laps to go. On the outside, kind of pinching him down, getting a nice side draft off that right rear quarter panel was Harvick. He charged him down from a 16th starting position to the lead with just 1 caution in that opening stage of the race. And just like that, Kevin Harvick went on to win stage 1. Stage 2 was a little bit more, I guess, anticlimactic. Really nothing happened throughout the course of the stage. Harvick kind of put a beating on the field, ended up winning stage 2. And really, there wasn't really any more factors in that one. Blaney, who finished 2nd based off of his starting position pretty much in stage 1, ended up still getting stage points. I believe he finished 6th in stage 2, but it just really wasn't the same for him there. And yeah, I mean, Harvick was definitely impressive throughout the course of the race, that is for sure. And like I said, went on to win stage 2. The third and final stage of the race was pretty interesting at times. We had a couple cautions that kind of threw in some oddball strategy. A couple bubble drivers coming into the day, by the way. William Byron scored a ton of stage points. He ended up finishing in the top 5 in both stages, so he scored even more stage points than what Johnson would have scored the day before. Johnson scored stage points as well, but he was in the back half of the top 10 for a lot of the early portion of the race. We came down to it. We had a caution with a little less than 30 laps to go in the race. Everybody came on for 4 fresh tires from that point on because otherwise, if they would have finished the race, they would have had about 90-something laps on their tires, so that wasn't going to be ideal. Jimmy Johnson won the race off the pit road, taking a 2-tire strategy. Everybody else behind him took 4. Johnson would have he came into the pits, I should say, in 7th place, so it was definitely a gamble. And we did, I like the idea if we had a couple laps left going into it, and I figured with having 16 laps to go and they went green, he just wasn't going to be able to hold on with that. many old tires at Dover, but it's Jimmie Johnson at Dover, and he proved why this is one of his better racetracks. Putting on one heck of a performance. Lost the lead pretty quickly to Harvick after about a lap and a half. Brad Keselowski ended up getting right around him as well. But it all came down to Johnson and Byron. Johnson third, Byron fourth. Byron did everything he could to get around him. Obviously, with being Hendrick Motorsport teammates, they raced each other as clean as they possibly could have. Byron gave him his room, his respect. And at the end of the day, Jimmie Johnson finished third place with that strategy. So that strategy definitely panned out. They got the track position. They only lost 2 spots. Net gain of 4 altogether from 7th place to 3rd there for Jimmie. William Byron finished 4th. Like I said, he was running top 5 most of the day. Byron really surprised me. And it was simply because of one reason. William Byron was a non-factor. He was outside the top 20 all day on Saturday. Overnight, that car is a top 5 car with track position. It seemed like it was handling much better. He was just faster all around. And William Byron with that 4th place finish, that is huge. Matt Benedetto, another playoff driver, had a terrible day. Yeah, he scored stage points in stage 1 simply because his starting position in the first stage was much shorter than stages 2 and 3, 70 laps once again there. And Matt Benedetto really struggled the rest of the day, didn't score any more stage points in stage 2, and he finished well outside the top 15. So, tough break for Matt Benedetto, much like his run the day before as far as how the finishing results came. So the playoff bubble's much tighter. Kevin Harvick also clinched the regular season championship after winning stage 2. Denny Hamlin had an issue in that second stage of the race. Looked like he could have given Jimmie Johnson a run for his money. He made it up to, I believe, 4th at the end of the first stage of the race. Had an issue. They had a loose wheel. They had to come back down onto pit road. Lost a lap. Got it back by the end of the race, but he finished outside of the top 15, I believe, as well. So Hamlin was a non-factor. And it just goes to show, whatever the case, however it happens, if Hamlin's not finishing second place at the end of these races that Harvick wins, he's finishing well outside the top 10. We saw that in this race. We've seen it in other races that Hamlin hasn't finished in the top 10, but Harvick's been right around the race lead. Harvick's only finished not finished in the top 10 4 races in the first 25 this season. Just incredible season by Harvick. He clinched the regular season title before the second to last race was over after he won stage 2. And just like that, Kevin Harvick gets those extra 15 playoff points, and again, that is why he is my championship favorite. Denny Hamlin's got a mulligan in the playoffs, so to say, if he has one bad race in a round, but Kevin Harvick almost basically has a mulligan and a half, or 2 mulligans, with all the playoff points he has gotten, as he got his 7th win of the season. Hamlin, of course, has won 6, so they won 13 of the first 25 races, so over half the races in percentage. That is pretty amazing what those 2 drivers are doing. It is really incredible to watch, to say the least. And then we'll take a look at these finishing results as you see on your screen right now. Kevin Harvick first. Martin Truex Jr. has 7 straight top 3 finishes. After today, he finishes 2nd. Keeps that streak going, but in those 7 races, he has not won. He's probably bound to get to victory lane at some point. He was one of my must-haves for both races all weekend. He was also my pick to win both races, so he did perform well. I just couldn't quite get the W. Of course, much closer on Saturday. Nobody was touching Harvick here today. Jimmie Johnson again 3rd, William Byron 4th, Alex Bowman 5th. Great run for Hendrick Motorsports all around. I'd have to imagine if Chase Elliott didn't have that early accident, that Chase Elliott would have been in the top 10 by the end of the race too. This is as strong as Hendrick has looked in today's race. Really, this is what they've looked as a whole in the last couple months. So good for them. Joey Logano finished 6th. Eric Almirola 7th. Almirola really surprised me. He had a better starting position. He capitalized on that, getting stage points, not only in stage 1, but he held in there in stage 2 also. And he stayed in the top 10 pretty much all day. He was one of my stay-away picks. So my stay-away picks, both for yesterday's race, or I should say Sunday's race and Saturday's race, were both off. Usually, I'm pretty correct on that, and the stats usually don't lie, but Keselowski and Almirola definitely proved me wrong at some of the worst racetracks statistically here. Speaking of Keselowski, he finishes in 8th. Austin Dillon with a great run in 9th. Pretty much both races all weekend, right around that 10th spot. Today, though, he does get the top 10. And rookie Cole Custer, also another top 10 finishes here. He rounds out the top 10 And then the notable results, as mentioned there with the playoff bubble, we kind of already went through that. Kurt Busch, who started the day, he actually got stage points at one point in time. He was another one of my stay-away picks. Byron, what was it? No, yeah, it was Eric Almirola and Kurt Busch were both my stay-away picks there. And Kurt Busch, he started dead last, only had those first 10 laps ran on Saturday, so nowhere near as much practice. He had to obviously use a backup car that hadn't even touched the racetrack all weekend, so... great job by Kurt Busch, showing why he is a playoff driver. Also, 3 drivers did clinch the playoffs on points this weekend. Eric Almirola, Kurt Busch, and Kyle Busch all clinched on points. So going into the last race, we still have 3 spots still open. Clint Boyer is almost clinched. He was 52 points ahead of 15th place. He had to be 56 to clinch. So Clint Boyer just needs 4 points this weekend to clinch. So as long as he finishes out. Now, it is Daytona and anything can happen, but regardless of where everybody else finishes, if Clint Boyer can just finish 32nd or better, he'll be in the playoffs after Daytona. And that is pretty much it. Obviously, the DNFs that I mentioned, Ricky Stenhouse is one of them. Chase Elliott was one of them. Joey Case ended up having an accident. He was also involved, actually, in that accident. J.J. Yaley, I believe, was also involved in there. And Timmy Hill had an engine failure by the end of the race. So those are the 5 DNFs that happened in today's race. Now let's take a look at how the fantasy team did. So I'm going to go over this kind of briefly. We only lost a little less than 200 spots in total. We gained points in the NASCAR Weekly Podcast League, so I'm not too disappointed about it really overall, considering the fact we were not going to finish in the top 3 after the way that first over race went. But we definitely picked up the pace for race 2, as I kind of expected. The only thing that really hurt me the most was Chase Elliott getting in that accident at the beginning of the race, so he was forced to have to go in the garage. I really think he could have had another top 10, maybe even top 5 performance like he did at Dover on Saturday. Jimmy Johnson impressed. Again, he was in the top 10 all day, ended up finishing 3rd. Great run there. Joey Logano, he scored a lot of stage points. He was in the top 10 pretty much all day, had a fast car, finished 6th. Brad Keselowski also got to the top 10 after that inversion, and he ended up getting a great finish there, finished inside the top 10. I kind of mentioned earlier, by the way, I just kind of realized this, that I said Keselowski finished 2nd. It was Martin Truex Jr. who finished 2nd, obviously. Keselowski finished 8th, but still, nonetheless, that's 3 guys in the top 10 there. Austin Dillon, he impressed me on Saturday. I figured he could have scored some sort of stage points because he started up front. He scored 1. I thought he could have scored more than that throughout the course of the day, but he did finish in the top 10, finishing 9th, and with a race with really not many accidents, just like Saturday, that is huge for him and that team. And yeah, great run there for Chase Elliott, or for Austin Dillon. And Austin really impressed. So that's 4 guys inside the top 10. Clint Boyer was somebody who I thought could have clinched on points today. If he would have ran anywhere close to how he did on Saturday, he would have clinched. And I had him on my fantasy team thinking he had another top 10 performance in him. The inversion kind of hurt him, obviously. He had to start outside the top 10. Never really gained that track position and finished outside the top 10. So he was really the only disappointing driver on the fantasy team, scoring 21 points. Austin Dillon was hit or miss. Yeah, he still got a good finish, so that kind of saved his rear end on my fantasy team in a sense, because obviously he only scored 1 stage point. So nevertheless, there it is there. And no bonus points today. I did get 10 the day before because I got Toyota winning, even though I picked Truex because Hamlin win. Martin Truex Jr. did not win a stage or the race, and Austin Dillon, of course, my pick to win stage 1. Kind of an upset pick for stage 1, but I figured with the inversion and the car he had, he could have had a shot there. But nevertheless, he couldn't quite get it done. He finished 10th in that opening stage. So no bonus points there. That's where it really hurt me. But again, we did gain. We're less than 100 away. So the top 3 in the NASCAR Weekly Podcast League, less than 100 away here. I'll actually show you those standings real quick before we get out of here. I'm on the road at the time of actually recording my voice for this. I'm just recording it over the actual play that you're seeing here. So it's kind of weird, but that's why you probably constantly hear engine and roaring and stuff like that. But yeah, so there is a look at the NASCAR Weekly Podcast League standings. I don't really think I get anything for winning this. I'm going to mention it on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast this week before I start streaming that night. About, hey, you know, what goes on for the winner here. I believe I believe that Jake 24 Titan is Jake Baskinger, and I'm not sure who the Kyle Eats Dirty Bush is, but nevertheless, again, less than 100 points separating the top three, and with Daytona coming up, that's definitely reachable. Usually you can score anywhere between the upper 100s to 200, you know, even the lower 200s, depending on who you have in points consistently. So we are well within striking distance. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It gives me something to play for with these last couple weeks with not really having a shot at that grand prize. But we will have a shot at another grand prize at Darlington, 10,000 to win there if you have the best score overall. And also at Darlington, the playoff fantasy league starts where if it's anything like the last couple years, you pick 2 playoff drivers and 2 non-playoff drivers in your lineup each week, and the garage driver for either one. So that'll be a lot of fun. Add some uniqueness there. I'll be back for another predictions video later in the week for Daytona. Likely going to be coming up on Saturday. The race obviously is scheduled for Saturday. I don't know what rain looks like there. I have a fantasy football draft that night, so I'm probably not going to get the video out till Sunday, but obviously I'm off of work Sunday, so you can guarantee that the post-race analysis video will be out by the weekend. We got NASCAR Thunder 04 coming to the series on Thursday, as mentioned, over the course of the last couple live streams, so that should be a lot of fun. We'll be starting things off there with the Budweiser Shootout for the full race live streams as usual for the season mode, and that is going to wrap things up here today. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Hit the like button down below if you enjoyed the race commentary of the video in general, and I'll see you guys next time.